Hey everybody, we're back. We actually got online tonight. Everything's going good so far, I hope. Hey Dan, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, Mr. Mike?
It's another week in this wonderful world that we live in, so we'll see how everything goes.
Right, exactly.
So
waiting for the feed to come over to me.
Yeah,
so I can see my shares.
I just seen it pop up on my side here, so we'll see how things go. We'll get this out of the way, and hopefully Facebook will play nicer than it did last week. Hey, there we are. So hopefully everything goes well.
Get our shares out of the way.
On this Easter Sunday. You know, this is the first show I think we've ever done on Easter, if memory serves me correctly. And out of respect for Easter, we've always not done a show, but this is kind of special, extenuating circumstances that we decided that we wanted to talk to you guys tonight. And
yeah,
no disrespect to...
You know, people are at home anyway, so why not join us and we'll join them.
Right, and that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. We're going to kind of leave it up to all of y'all to help us carry the show tonight and communicate back and forth with us. So that way we can have some good discussion.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Ryan Burns is on. Chris Kreiner, that's the first two I see popping in. Patrick Dean, hey, good evening. Good evening back to you. I'm going to do a quick share, and we will get going here. And Danny will do his thing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Good evening back to you, Chris Kreiner. Good to see you on tonight. Good to hopefully have a bunch of people in the house tonight. Actually, they're starting to pile in now, so that's a good deal. Tammy Delk, hey, what's going on tonight?
Oh, there we go.
Good to see you on. So, for those of you who are on right now, if for some reason we drop off the air, we are recording. We will publish this later. We've had some serious issues with Facebook here in the last couple of weeks. Not wanting to go live, and I think that's really due to a lot of people being online at this time, during what's going on right now out in the world. So everybody is streaming, everybody's sucking up bandwidth, everybody's on Facebook Live. I swear anybody's got a phone right now is going live on Facebook, so seeing any and everything that everybody is doing, and some things I'd rather not see. Right, Danny?
Right, so. Exactly.
Danny,
all right.
You tell me when you're ready.
Yep, I'll get my shares in here.
And then we will get going with tonight's show.
Absolutely, we'll get going on with tonight's show.
So you just let me know when you're ready.
I will do that.
I was going to say something. I'm going to wait till the show actually starts when we kick it off. So.
Oh, okay, good.
So how's everything on the southern side of the county? Hey, Tom Ginsel made it into the cabin tonight. Hey, good deal, Tom. Glad you could join us.
It looks like it's clouding up.
It is clouding up. It's going to rain.
Yeah, that's what they say. All right.
I contemplated cutting grass tonight, but I didn't do it. I did it earlier in the week. It needs it again, though. The backyard, at least, anyway.
Right. All right, one more share to go here, and we should be good to go.
I pile all my work on Danny and make him do everything.
Yes, you do.
You know, Dan, I've got, speaking of Hunter's Blend coffee, I've got my cup here.
Do you?
I've got a box of it over here for you.
I know you do.
You need to come and get it, man.
Right?
Danny said that, yeah, he'll drive by and he's going to bring his baseball mitt, and then at about 55 miles an hour, I'm going to launch it and he's going to catch it with his mitt as we drive by, because we're social distancing, keeping everything under the correct orders here that we're supposed to be doing. So
I can go for that. All right.
Oh, Chris Kreiner says it's raining on the west side. Not good. That means it's headed this way.
It's headed our way. Absolutely, it's headed our way.
All right. You ready, Dan?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Upper Journal Podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, social distancing in the cabin, and Dan DeFall joining me from UNJ Cabin South. What's going on, Dan?
Nothing. What's happening, Mr. Mike? Enjoying our COVID time?
Yeah, absolutely. But, as we always do before we get started, take care of some business for us, would you?
Absolutely. There is nothing better than taking some business and helping our supporters that help us, because that's what we do.
Uh-oh. Now Danny's going to fade out on me. Not good. You're fading out, Danny.
What?
Yeah, and you know what? And it seems like
fading out.
right about 7 o'clock, everybody kind of starts to fade in and out here on the internet. So I'll tell you what, you sit back, I'll take care of the business this week. How about that? All right. So without further ado, we'll make sure everybody gets over to Hunter's Blend Coffee, huntersblend.com, and use the promo code UNJ, capital U, capital N, capital J, and save 10% on your order over there when you check out. And I've got my cup right here right now of good hot Hunter's Blend coffee for tonight's show. But that's not all. We've also got Buck Baits, who's got some new gear this year out. And I know deer season's a little ways off, but go over and check out some of their new products over at buckbaits.com and use the UNJ promo, or the Up North Journal promo code for 20% off your order over there when you check out. And we don't want to forget our good friends over at rebel6rubs.com. And I've been putting different flavors on my popcorn and putting some different rubs on some different on the grill here in the last couple weeks. So make doggone sure you get over there and get your supply of rubs for any of the meats that you might be putting on the grill, or even if it's, like I said, popcorn, because that's what I've been putting it on. And I tell you what, this stuff is awesome. So go over and check them out and use North Journal to save 20% on your order. And Dan, you've got the last one for us. I don't have that slate up yet.
Oh, that's right. The trips for trade. That's right. And we had him on a few weeks ago. And if you want 20% off of the yearly membership he's offering for our supporters of Up North Journal, you go over there, you use the promo code UpNorth20, and you'll get 20% off. It brings it down to about $100 for the year. And you go over to tripsfortrade.com.
All right. Well, we see a few people piling in here, and I want to give quick shout-outs to Patrick Downing, all the way from Rogers City, up in the northern lower. Not real far from where I hunt, up in Alcona County. Just he's a little further north than I am. Gina Pasquale, or Conley, is watching. Gina from our archery range. We want to make sure and give her a quick shout-out. And Buck Baits, happy Easter from our camp. Sounds like Buck Baits is at deer camp, and if memory serves me, that might be in the UP up by where you hunt, Danny.
That is in the UP. That is, actually, I go by there as I'm zipping west along the UP. He's in about the middle UP.
Okay. Charles Byram's watching, and over from Iowa, and Patrick Dean. Happy Easter, everyone, and back at you. You know, and before we get really going with tonight's show, I want to say, you know, this is no disrespect to Easter. This is a special circumstance that we're actually bringing you a show tonight, and we wanted to just make this forum available for everybody tonight. If you've got questions or you've got comments along the way or concerns or whatever, we're doing this show tonight just for the people that are stuck in the house, can't get out because of what's going on. And I just want to also give a quick thoughts and prayers to the people down south, because right now people down south are getting hammered. You know, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama right now, there's some severe tornadoes going on. I've been watching it all afternoon because my dad's down in Alabama, and people in Mississippi, man, they got hit extremely hard and still are. So everybody just keep those people down south tonight in your thoughts and prayers, because they're getting smoked down there tonight. So I want to give them a shout out as well. So
absolutely. And I see Team Andrus has joined us from Rush Outdoors. I don't know if you see that he popped that video this past week of getting out, shooting his bow, and having an ice cream.
Yeah, something about, you know, shooting his bow, doing it right, and eating right. I just begin to wonder if eating an ice cream cone is actually eating healthy. I don't know. I like the idea, though. I do like the idea.
I did too. And you know what? And he got that new lawnmower this week, riding lawnmower, and he can come over and cut our grass, and we can pay him in ice cream.
That's right. I'm still waiting for him to show up and cut. And mine's due, like right now. I thought about cutting today, but I kind of decided to do something different and didn't cut grass today. But Tim, you can bring that mower on over to Michigan, and I'm sure there's plenty of people here that would let you cut their grass for them. And that new lawnmower.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ron Moses, happy Easter, buddy.
Yeah, back at you, Ron. Have you cut grass yet, Dan?
No, I have not. My back really doesn't need it. My front looks like it's going to need an evening out this week. So I'm going to have to get out the lawnmower and even it out this week.
All right. Well, there you go. Have you got gas for it yet?
Yeah, I do. I do believe I've got a can out there that's got some gas in it. But I'm afraid to go up there and, you know, go get to the gas station, because we're not supposed to be going out to the gas station. We're allowed to.
So, let's go ahead and just jump into what we want to talk about tonight right out of the gate, because this could take a few minutes or it could take all night. We don't know. And it's really going to depend on how much you guys want to hear about it and talk about it and shoot comments back and forth to us. But for those of you out of state that might not know, what happened in Michigan this week is we went under an additional extended lockdown due to the COVID crisis, but our wonderful governor decided to double down on things we could and couldn't do, and actually took away the luxury. Some people say right, other people's got a few other words for it, but being able to actually take a motorized boat onto Michigan waters. So you're not allowed to take your boat out on the water and do anything, nor your jet ski, pontoon, whatever, any motorized vehicle, and that includes trolling motor. And the people of Michigan this week, along with that, she also locked down doing any home improvements and going to the gardening sections of stores and being able to buy flats of plants, shrubs, or any gardening or outdoors equipment like that. So
exactly. And Patrick Downing wants to know our thoughts on the 2020 deer season, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
But Ron Moses there says he knows he's got so much to do in property, and he has to wonder if he'll be an outlaw. Isn't that wonderful? You're thinking about doing yard work or planting a garden, and you might be an outlaw.
Well, and there's been so much that was said about that. There's a group out there that started on Facebook. This is their 4th day now. The Michiganders for, what is the title of that group? Danny, help me here. Michiganders against the quarantine, against the Michigan, or the quarantine here in Michigan, the overreach. I forget exactly what the title is.
Yes.
But the point is that Facebook group exploded in 4 days. There were well over, last time I looked this morning, there were over 106,000 members. And the state of Michigan, this Wednesday at noon, they're going to, a big group of people are organizing and going to the state of Michigan Capitol in Lansing, and they said they're going to create gridlock. They're going to go into the Capitol peacefully and protest. So, the people,
no, do it peacefully. There's nothing wrong with it. And look at that. You're talking about cutting the grass and could be outlaws. And Charles Byram was going to cut the grass. But it's trying to snow right now out in Iowa.
Keep that snow out there, Charles. I don't want to see that over here. Actually, it's supposed to cool off this week starting tonight. The cool down's coming. It was 62 here today. And our high this week, I think Monday through Friday, is supposed to be like 45, somewhere between 40 and 45. So the weather's changing here in Michigan. I think Old Man Winter is going to have one last poke at us here before it's all said and done. So
right. And that's the thing. You sit there and this time of year is always marginal because we're getting into turkey season, and that first 2 weeks of turkey season, sometimes you're out there in shorts, and then sometimes you're out there moving into snow.
Right. Oh, Chris Kreiner said last time he looked at that group, it's 256,000. 200. That's 250,000 people in 4 days on Facebook. Now, you want to tell me that there's not some ticked off Michiganders in this state that are ticked about their rights being taken away to be able to, and it's not about the quarantine itself, it's about what's being taken away and being taken away from people that could do something sensibly and still stay in quarantine, do it safely. We're being treated, kind of, I guess, like third graders. What do you think, Dan?
I kind of agree with you there. I understand the severity of the issue and what we're hearing on the news and what we're not hearing on the news. But when you go and you make comments the way you do, or put out things such as what's happening, is it in the best interest of everybody in the state, or is it in best interest in the select? I know it's bad. It's a flu. People are dying. We can't have that. That's for sure. But you know what? We can't stop living either. I find that hard. That just everybody just stop.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
That worries me when we're going to the extremes of just stopping the world. Basically, we've stopped our economy. And I know there's other countries that have the same issue, but never really stopped their economy.
Right. Right. Well, I know. You know, you and I have talked about this. Is the cure worse than the problem? You know,
right?
Are we going to see people lose? I mean, they've already lost jobs. You know, thank goodness there's unemployment for most people, but you know, they're having a hard time paying their bills. Thank goodness I'm still employed. My wife's still employed, and my son, he's able to get unemployment, and my daughter, she's still employed, and my other daughter, her husband's still employed. So I mean, really, we've been very, very lucky. I know you're still working from home, Dan. You know, so there's people that are still able to do that, but there's a lot of people that are losing their livelihood. And you know, are they going to go bankrupt? Are they going to lose their home? You know, are they going to lose their business? You know, what's going to happen down the road? If we could just take some measures and sensibly do things and keep keep limping along until this is over with. But sometimes I really wonder, is the cure worse than the problem itself? I mean, we had a person here locally that went nuts out in public and took their own life this week.
You know what? And pretty much everybody, you know, that from Michigan kind of sees what's going on here. Ron Moses is a truck driver, and he's been around the country, and you know, he's commented here that he's been around the country seeing what's going on in other states.
Absolutely.
So, you know, he's getting a firsthand look at what happens. I think he's been to New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You know, he's going during the week, and he's seeing what's happening. And Buck Bates is right. These small businesses are going to need some help. We, you know, just can't stop.
No, you can't just shut everything down. I mean, what's going to happen? It's another thing is we don't want to rely on the federal government for everything. You know, at least I don't personally. I mean, I want to be my own person. I want to be able to take care of myself. I want to be able to, you know, raise my family and provide for them. You don't want to sit back and wait for that handout all the time. Sometimes we need to step up and take care of things ourselves. But in a lot of ways, you know, state government or federal government are not letting us do that. So.
Exactly, and it's the Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine.
There you go. That's the name of the place. Yep, or the group. So, you know, and the thing is, there's been a lot of good talk over there this week too. I've really been digging in and reading a lot of the posts and you know, going through them pretty deep. And most of the people over there, I mean, I would say 98, 99% of them sound like just good, hard-working Michiganders, and it's not a political thing one way or the other. It's not Democrat and Republican, you know, fighting. It's none of that. There's people from both sides of the aisle that just say, hey, you know what? You know, we can handle this. You just got to let us take care of it on our turn. You know, let us be able to do these things and move forward. We can do these things safely if you just give us the opportunity. So. And
that's it. And then I saw an article this week. They made a big thing over at the Suburban Showcase that it was going to be a field hospital and get ready. And all of a sudden, I just saw an article, I think it was either this morning or yesterday, that they're scaling it back now. Right. So what's that tell you?
Right. Quick shout out. Neil Roney's just tuned in. I haven't heard from Neil in quite a while. A former podcaster that started back about the same time that we did here. So hopefully everything is going well for you over in Colorado. I think that's where you're still at. Jeff Oakes is joining in with us as well. Ron Moses says, after this, can they call guns a pandemic? Ron, don't even say that, man. That's that's part of this problem right now, is you wonder how far this is going to go and how far they're really going to push people. When you're telling these businesses that they can't sell flats of plants for people to plant gardens, you can't go in and get your fertilizer or your bags of black dirt to plant a small garden in the backyard. You know, but still you can buy alcohol, you can buy lottery tickets, and you know, you can go line up at the stores. They're putting people outside these stores now in the lines, even though they want them 6 feet apart. But you know that stuff's not going to happen. You know. So,
well, that's the thing. I went to Walmart yesterday, and we had to wait in line to get into the building, which was fine. I was only 4 deep at the time. But once you got into the store, it was kind of, you moved as free as you wanted. You went over by the garden section. They had the yellow tape, can't go in there. Mm-hmm. But I was able to get in, get my stuff that I needed, and got out. Now, I thought I did it about as safely as I could. And when I got out, I used hand sanitizer. My daughter used hand sanitizer, and we went on our way. And
Right.
as a matter of fact, we went over to Kentucky Fried Chicken to help support a restaurant in the area. For that matter, it's like normally we'd probably go out on a Saturday night, but we couldn't. So we figured, hey, let's pick up a meal and we'll support them and then go home.
Right. Ron says, once we're unlocked, what says it isn't going to spread again? He said Sweden went with the herd immunity and it worked. Yeah, I've heard that, and I've. The problem is who do you believe? I've heard so much about Sweden, both good and bad, and that's the other problem is the media right now. Depending on who you listen to and where you're getting your information from, and the numbers, they're so convoluted, and nobody knows what to believe anymore. That's half the battle right now. Is what are people telling us, and why are they telling us what they're telling us?
Exactly, and that protest that they're planning, I think is supposed to happen on April 15th, correct?
April 15th at noon, yes. And here's the issue is most people when they organize these what do you want to call it? This walk or this gridlock, this protest, or even take it to the DNR level, to these NRC meetings. Most of these things are done during the week, Monday through Friday, in the middle of the day. Most people are working. Not now. There's a lot of people in Michigan that are out of work. There's going to be a lot of people, I believe, in Lansing. And I think their voices are going to be heard. I really do. I think this might be something that finally says, you know what? The government, don't forget, we don't serve them. They work for us. And it's about time they start listening.
You're right. And Charles Barham is chiming in, and he wants to give props to his own governor out in Iowa. And she believes that we are all responsible enough to take care of ourselves and don't need the government to dictate every little thing that we do.
There you go. Common sense. Whatever happened to common sense? We talk about the motorized boat thing here in the state of Michigan. Yesterday I was outside. We were in the front yard hanging out, just enjoying some air and getting some sunshine. And I seen a guy pulling a pontoon on a trailer down the road. And I'm like, oh, he better watch out. DNR is going to get him, for pulling a pontoon down the road. And I said, and I kind of yelled, lawbreaker,
Right.
As a joke. And right behind him was a DNR vehicle. No kidding. I was like, oh my gosh. Is that just a coincidence, or are they following him to see if he puts that boat in the water?
Well, I walk my 5 miles over to the park every day. Mm-hmm. And pretty much every day when the weather's okay, there's at least one boat in there. Guys are getting amped up to get their boats in the water as it is. But yesterday was a really nice day, and there was only kayaks, and there was no motor boats to be found.
Well, that lake is a no-wake lake to begin with. Am I right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And you can still the bass fishermen get in there just to get their boats wet and
sure
go around and yeah. But yesterday and today,
yeah,
not so much.
Right. I tell you what, we're bumping up here a little long here on the first segment, so let's step outside, take our first break. We come back, we'll continue the conversation and see what else we can get into. We had actually a question talking about the 2020 deer season, so let's step forward and we'll talk about that when we come back. We're going to be right back after this.
All right.
Okay, for those of you on the live stream, thanks for the input. Good input tonight. A lot of people talking.
Yeah, and if you guys got any other questions, we're going to talk about the 2020 season coming up. Actually, see if we can. I did hear that the UP was supposed to get some snow.
2 feet.
I don't know how much snow.
2 foot of snow.
I saw that. That's what they're saying. I don't know for sure what the map said, but it's okay to get the snow. It's how quickly it melts off. That's important.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about that when we come back. I'm almost ready here. Get this one rolling, and we will get going with the next segment of the show. All right, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show on Easter Sunday. Hopefully everybody had a good Easter. Hopefully you were able to spend time with family or go to church virtually online. I know I did this morning. So that's the way we've been doing it for the last 4 weeks. The way we've been doing the show. How many shows is this now, Danny? We've been doing virtually. Is this our fourth?
This is our
third.
Well, the first one with Ken, last week with Lincoln, and this week, so it makes three.
That's four
in a row.
This is our fourth now. So, or third.
Third.
Okay.
So yeah. Chris Kreiner is chiming in and says he's heard that the DNR is enforcing this rule. He's heard of boats being escorted off the water. Wonderful.
Well, there's a good point brought up about this week, and that was the Great Lakes and the Great Lake waterways are controlled by the federal government. The state does have jurisdiction over certain things on it, but the federal government is the one that controls it. And people are saying that the state cannot supersede federal government law and tell people they can't go on federal waters. So some people are saying, hey, we're going to go fishing on the Great Lakes, and that's where they're going. Lake St. Clair, Detroit River.
Yeah, well, right there, Patrick Dean. DNR has been blocking ramps at Erie and Detroit River with their trucks.
I've heard they've been blocking the ramps. I've heard they've been putting things in the way so people can't put their boats in. And I was actually going to drive today over there. We've got we've got three public boat launches here within a 5-mile radius of the house. That would be Lake Fenton's public, Lake Penema's public, and then Seven Lakes State Park is public. Danny, when you're over there at Seven Lakes, are you seeing back by the boat launch? Are you seeing anything back there? Have they blocked it?
No, there was nothing. There was people putting kayaks in.
Okay. But really, you can park back there at that parking area and dump a kayak in just about anywhere.
Exactly.
Have they put
the boat ramp was fine. It was fine.
Okay, so the actual dock is in?
Yep.
Okay.
The actual dock is in and everything. And I think every day I've been there, I have seen the DNR truck in there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And there was no boats in there today. There was only kayaks.
Nate Friel says, how will this affect turkey season for those that don't live in their hunt units? Danny and I have been talking about this a lot in the last 2 weeks. They're saying they don't want you traveling out of your home area. If you're going to hunt or fish, stay in your home area. Well, what does that mean? What is a home area? Is a home area 10 miles? Is it 5 miles? Is it 50 miles? Is it 100 miles or 200 miles or the state? I mean, obviously we know it's not go to the UP or whatever, but the point is there's nothing that says what that distance is, your home area. What I really feel, I heard some news today on one of the local cable stations. They were talking about is it Fossey?
Fossey? Yeah.
The lead medical guy for the White House administration.
White House, yes.
And he says that they're thinking about it's going to be very possible at the beginning of next month they're going to start to open certain parts of the economy. Now, that being said, if our governor will follow suit with certain things and not clamp down even further and request an even stricter quarantine, I don't see why the month of May we shouldn't be able to go hunt. Right now there's nothing that says you can't go turkey hunting. There's nothing that says that at all. So right now, if you've got a tag and it's not in your home area, whatever that means to you, I would assume you're able to hunt.
Exactly.
If it's not in your home area, whatever you deem that is, then I don't know. That's a personal choice you're going to have to do on your own and say, well, I'm going to go or I'm not going to go. So,
well, we're talking about turkey hunting in the outdoors, and Ron Moses just went to the dealership yesterday, and the guy was so happy to see him. So people are getting really edgy to get out, and if this affects at the start of turkey season, mm-hmm. People are getting on edge to get out. There's no doubt about it, and especially with the weather doing like it is, and it's just getting out and getting there. And you're right. I don't see anything now. We don't know what's going to happen after April 30th, right? That's the end date. So
yeah. Well, and from what I understand here in the state of Michigan, in order to extend that, it has to get the legislature's approval. And after what happened this last week, I don't see that happening, so I don't know what's going to happen after that. It might become a court battle. Who knows? It's, man, I never thought we'd be sitting here talking about this on the show. The fact, can we go hunting? Can we go fishing? Are we going to be allowed to? Right now, the gun stores are shut down. You can't, here in the state of Michigan, you can't go to a gun store and get ammunition or buy a firearm. They're shut down because it's deemed non-essential, according to the state. It's according to our government.
But am I allowed to buy ammo or a gun over at my local big box store across town?
Was it roped off when you went in there?
Nope, they were at the matter of fact they were at the counter buying licenses, I do believe.
Well, buying a license is one thing, you know.
Right, but I didn't even think to look and go check. Actually, it was pretty busy over there. I don't know what they were doing.
You know, I went over there right before this all started, before this big shutdown happened. I was over there. Actually, I was getting weight equipment. It was the day after. It was the day of the shutdown of the gyms, you know, workout gyms here.
Oh yeah.
Which was Monday. No, that was Wednesday, the 11th of March, because it was the day after we voted here, our local primaries, which was Tuesday the 10th. And I just, for grins and giggles, I said, I just wonder. And I walked down the aisle where they have ammunition, and the entire case was empty, completely empty. There was no ammunition on the shelf anywhere. Now, whether they pulled it, I don't know. Or whether it was all gone because it was bought, I don't know.
Exactly. You know, I know the 22s are being bought up. You know, comments coming in. Patrick Dean says he heard 14 miles from someone that was pulled over by the police the other night in Commerce Township. Nate Friel, he's got calls into the DNR and the county sheriff to see, because he's going to be hunting for Osco County, lives in Genesee County. I guess just tell him you're going to go for an exercise walk.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. You know. And the other part of it is they don't want you going to a secondary home heading north, and the people up north really don't want that happening either, just due to the conditions of the hospitals up there of taking the virus north or inundating their food supplies up there when everybody moves, you know, from the cities here in the south. When everybody floods the north, all of a sudden, you know, things can happen up there as well, and I understand that. But if you're going to go, if you're going to take your own food up, here's my thing. Can you drive to camp, your camp, or wherever you're going to hunt, on one tank of gas? Can you drive there and back to your house? Can you make it that far on a tank of gas? Can you take your own food with you? And if you can do that and you're self-sufficient, I don't see a problem with it. You know, I really don't.
You know, here's where we're come to. Jim Miller says that people are turning in downstaters. Residents are turning in downstaters up at Houghton Lake. And, you know, come on, really? You're going to get to the point where we're starting now to turn on each other because you might be trying to get up to your place? Okay, then you know what? Then give me a pass on paying property tax, anything other than my own. You
and I talked about this earlier in the week.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, I come up with that idea. I'm like, okay, so let's say I got a cabin or a piece of property somewhere in Michigan that's north or out of my home area, and we're told not to go there. We can't go there. Well, if we can't go there, then why are we paying property taxes on something we can't access? You know, that's another thought. You know, I mean, how, you know, you want to start imposing rules upon us and then turn around and taxing us for it and saying you can't go or you can't use it. You know, there's got to be some kind of reprieve somewhere. You know,
and I get the whole quarantine thing and being cautious and everything and not up there because of the hospitals are a lot smaller in most of the towns except for the big towns. But the problem is, at one point here, we'll call it tourist season, is going to start. Okay, so we're not going to go touristing up there.
You know, and Ron Moses had a great point. You know, he's sticking with the mom and pop shops. Those are the people that are hurting and suffering the most because of this. So if you've got business to do and you're going to do it safely, then support your local business. You know, and that's the other thing about people who may go up north and they may stay up there 2 or 3 weeks. If they're quarantining in their cabin and they're not going anywhere for those two or 3 weeks, you know, they've weathered that storm and self-quarantine. They are safe. And then he says, and tell them don't come down to our hospitals when they need one. Well, you know what? You know, what's turnabout's fair play. So Ken Cicluna's on. Hey, what's going on, Ken?
You know, that's that you know, the place, matter of fact, hey, Daniel Burns from Pennsylvania. Ken Cicluna's go-to bait shop was closed down.
Right. Hey, quick question. Daniel Burns in Pennsylvania. Are you guys able to hunt and fish in your state? right now. I know state of Washington, you're not allowed to hunt or fish or trap right now. They've stopped that because of this. So what's going on in PA? Drop something in the comments there. Let us know what's going on in your state. So, and anybody else, we've heard from Charles Barham over in Iowa that their governor is allowing them to kind of do their own thing over there and be responsible, be big boys and girls, unlike us here in Michigan, who are not allowed to be big boys and girls. You know, we're told to sit in the corner quietly and do what we're told.
Don't you think that's kind of excessive to actually stop hunting? To make it to actually come out and say, see, in Michigan, we're in a big gray area.
Yeah. It's
gray. But sounds like in Washington, they came out and said you can't hunt or fish, right?
What's the purpose of not hunting? If you live, we know somebody personally that lives in the mountains over there, who's actually in law enforcement, and you're going to tell him and his family that they can't hunt on their property,
right?
Where they live?
And look, exactly. And Chance Miller's on from Idaho. What's happening out in Idaho?
Yeah, are you able to hunt and fish out there as well? What's going on with that? You know, and people ask me, why did I go to Indiana to hunt last year? You know, why was I making that transition? You know, it's exactly stuff like this. You know, I was actually contemplating putting a new registration on my boat, getting my boat ready to put in the water for my grandson, take him fishing this year, and buying a fishing license. You know what? I ain't doing it. That boat will set again, or I'll sell it this year. I am not going to put a registration on that boat, and I'm not going to give him the money for a fishing license this year. Just not going to do it.
You know, Adam Kenner's joining. He's a local guy, a big turkey hunter.
Yeah.
He's going to be heading out. You know?
Well.
Oh, Daniel Burns says fishing and hunting is still on, just not in groups.
Well, that's the way
they even opened trout season 2 weeks early. Well, got that report from my brother downstate in Ohio that
the Maumee River was flooded with people fishing. Yeah. I tell you what, Dan, we're running along again on this segment, so let's take a quick break. We come back. Let's kind of jump into looking ahead at the deer season.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this. Good talk tonight, guys and gals.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate everybody putting their thoughts in.
Rob Harrell, how's that new grill going?
I need some Rebel 6 rubs to put on the meat and put on the grill. What do you think about that?
Did you see the new grill he got?
No.
He's got to fess up and show us some of his talents.
I think so. I think he ought to share some cooking secrets, and what we can do with some Rebel 6. What do you think?
Well, we'll tip off the people to our guest for next week's show.
It's not going to be Rob, though, is it?
Nope.
But somebody from Rebel 6.
Yep.
Okay. Man, there's a lot of comments coming in tonight. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up with them all. You know, and that just goes to show you how important hunting and fishing is to people. You know, and we're going to hang on to that thought because I want to lead in with the next segment here with that. We're just about ready here. Hang on. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Third segment of the show. We're talking outdoors. We're talking hunting and fishing, and people that can and people that can't because their local state powers that be are saying yes and no to certain things, and that's kind of the discussion tonight. And
you know, and my brother's got a good point. You know what? We're not trying to downplay the seriousness of the issue.
No.
You know, like he's got his comment here. His daughter had a coworker that passed away. Mm-hmm. His wife has had coworkers pass away. The funeral home has a tent with a refrigerator attached. So we're not downplaying the seriousness of what's going on.
No,
it's just how it's being portrayed and how they're walking through this. Well, is this the same issue in the local Metro Detroit area that they have across the state? Is this statewide?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, we've heard stories over on the west side of the state that it's the hospitals over there are not jam packed. You know, they took these two field hospitals that they put down in Metro Detroit area. One was Cobo Arena, former Cobo, and that was supposed to be 1,000 beds. They've now scaled it back to 250, so that tells me that they're not expecting nowhere near as many people as what they once thought. The Novi Suburban Showplace, where we went to Outdoorama, a month and a half ago?
Yep.
They have now said that they're not going to use that place as well. So they're scaling it back. But getting back to talking about the outdoors, we're not downplaying.
Talk about the outdoors. Chance Miller from Idaho actually has a comment here that says he just upgraded his bow sight and rest, and he can't wait to get shooting and sighting in. Absolutely. There is no better time than any time to get out and shoot your bow. So the weather's changing here, obviously. So from indoor to outdoor,
practice.
Shoot. Absolutely. Never going to turn that down.
Yeah, that's something I haven't done this week. I haven't shot in 2 weeks, actually. And this week, I don't know. This week kind of got to me. This is what, our 4th week into this, Danny, I think. This last week was. Yep. And it started weighing heavy on my mind. I was watching too much stuff on Facebook. Got to where I'd sit in the house at night after work, and I was binge watching shows on Netflix. And it ain't good. It's not good for your mind to just sit and do nothing. And today I finally said, you know what? I've had it. Enough's enough. I got out and I ran my 2 miles. I know you've been getting outside and walking 5 miles a day.
Yep.
And it felt good. It really did. It felt good to get back out and get back on the horse again, so to speak, and get after it. So yeah, Chance, get out there and shoot the bow. Get out there with your kids. If for those of you who've got kids or grandkids, and teach them something about the outdoors. And if you can't go, a long ways away, to take them to go do something, do what you can there in your backyard, whether you're in the city or whether you're out in the wilderness. So, get out there and
absolutely. Ron Moses is itching to get his new 450 out there to sight it in that his wife got him for Christmas.
Well, get out and do it.
Absolutely.
That man puts a lot of miles on, man, so I understand how it's hard for him to get time.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Getting off the whole what's going on, we had a question earlier about looking towards the 2020 deer season. What thoughts are? Well, I tell you what, for me, hearing that the UP is going to get hit with snow, and I'm not exactly sure where that snow is going to hit. The snow amount is not a bad thing right now. Mm-hmm. It's how quickly that comes off. Once it can snow 15 inches today. If they get a decent warm up within a week or two, it'll melt down, and we should be okay. What you got to watch then is flooding. Now, I did get an alert from up there that one of the rivers that's close to me is going to be over its banks. So they are having a quick melt off, but then it sounds like they're going to get hammered with snow again. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hoping for as we start talking about the 2020 deer season, I really want to start focusing in on what the weather's looking towards now into May, my fawning season. That's important to me.
Right. Well, yeah, when you get into green up, that's the key thing, is how quickly can you get food back on the ground for animals, especially up in the area where you're at, where there's not a lot of agriculture, and they're depending on, the actual natural forbs and forage in the forest where you're at. We plant a lot of food plots where we're at, so we do try to help them out along the way. But the other issue is, like I've said before, in our area, we don't have a lot of farm fields around the area, and we're really one of the few places that plant quite a bit of food plots. So you're right, Dan. It boils down to, and when that snow melts, what's the weather afterwards? Does it refreeze and freeze that ground up? If that ground stays frozen and they can't get down and dig into, like, maybe some brassicas that were planted that made it through the winter, and then digging them things up, trying to get them, or allow those new shoots of rye and wheat to come up, and clover to green up to where they can actually start getting ready to make milk for the fawning season. Exactly.
And Chance Miller right there, he's talking about the mental health is very important. It's very important for everybody's mental health to be able to do things and have our freedoms about that. And he got his kid a bow for Easter. So guess what? He is just itching to get out there, I bet.
Yeah, actually, him and I, we were talking here about a week or two ago about getting his son a bow. So congrats on getting him a bow and getting one in his hands and starting him out. Man, pass that tradition on. That's key. It is so key to keep kids off of these devices. We're glad you guys are here watching, and gals are watching tonight with us. And obviously and this is how we do our show. But like I said, I've spent too much time this week on my phone reading stuff I really didn't need to be reading, and it gets in your head. So you're right, Chance. It's the mental instability that comes with this kind of stuff when you're kept under, under a quarantine where you can't travel and get to the outdoors. I feel so bad for the people that live in these inner cities where the problem is really festering, and it's kind of it is rampant. I won't say kind of, it is rampant in these bigger cities, and they're not allowed to travel outside these areas to get out and get some fresh air in the Great White North, or smell the pine needles, or get in a kayak up on a river up north or a lake and go to the UP or anything like that. It's just, that's what helps fuel me throughout the years, getting up to camp, going turkey hunting, going and putting trail cameras out, doing food plots, doing timber cuts, things of that nature.
Exactly.
It's Danny, you do it all the time at your place.
Yep, and my brother's asking, when are the fawns going to start dropping? Typically here in Michigan, we're looking into May and June. I know I've been out for May turkey season and come across some fawns out there. So,
yep.
And like Nate says, it really depends on when they bred. Absolutely.
290 days after conception, average.
There you on average.
Yep, 290 days. So that puts it the last week of May, last couple weeks of May into June. And then unfortunately, if we have a trickle rut where we have a second and third rut, it can go into July, late July, which is what we don't want to see.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing. So talking about the 2020 deer season, it all starts now. Coming out of winter, we talked with Lincoln last week, talking about food plotting. If you're going to start thinking about food plots, doesn't have to be a big plot. You can even think about water holes. Water holes are a good trend to go after. But starting to think about it in now, getting into spring, that'll be our fawning season, our early planting season, all in preparation for the entire 2020 deer season when we go hunting in September or October, depending on where you're going to go. I'm watching it right now, and I think if I have a decent fawn crop, which I should have, I've had it good for the last few years, but I think I'll be okay. Now, predation up there, I'll have my cameras out and we'll see what's happening, but I know I got the typical predation, and my deer seem to be doing okay with them around. So I just hope that the trend goes the way it is, and I would really like to shoot a doe.
Well, and I think, that's kind of what you're experiencing in the UP. I haven't been to camp since we went up for the deer necropsy, which was the second week of February. We do have somebody that's on our property that manages it for us and takes care of things. But one thing I kind of look forward to right now, with people not being able to travel extensively and people staying close to home, I really think that the 2020 season, if you play your cards right and you don't go in and blow the areas up with a bunch of travel right away once they open everything back up and the economy gets rolling again, if you're very careful when you go into your property and what little work you're going to have time to do when they let us back out, is don't spook those animals. Keep your activity to a minimum, because right now I think these animals are starting to adjust after 2 months of not seeing a lot of human activity. Unless you're in a state park system like over where Danny and I have spent a little bit of our time walking, running, and whatever. Those places are packed right now. And
they are.
You said, I took Ben over squirrel hunting the week before all this started, or maybe 2 weeks before. And there were so many people out that, we didn't even see a squirrel. So the deer and the turkey are being pushed out of these areas as well. But if you're hunting private land and you're staying off your land, I would be very cautious at going back in and keeping the activity to a minimum so you can maximize your potential of getting a deer and getting the one you want when it comes to deer season, whether it's archery or firearm.
Yep. Aaron Moses, what side-by-side did you get? There's a whole, when you talk about attachments for a side-by-side, because I have one as well, there is a whole gamut of accessories and everything you can get for a side-by-side and attachments. But you got to watch what kind of food plot you want to put in, because you got to start thinking of the turning radius that your side-by-side has. That's important, knowing your turning radius.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking last week, Danny, with Lincoln Rome from Packer Max. Cultipacker, that's one implement, and he talked about the groundhog,
Yep.
That was an implement, I believe, that had a plow, a small chisel plow with it as well. Did it have a planter too, or not?
What that was it's off the top of my head, it is a disker, either 3 or 4 on a side that you can attach to your four-wheeler or your side-by-side, and it digs in. You set the depth, and you drive around, and basically you're digging up the soil. That's a good implement. Obviously, the Packer Max getting that works. Actually, the Packer Max can work in a couple of different ways besides just cultipacking, and you can use it. You found out in wet soil, and actually you can tear up the ground with it too, pretty good.
Absolutely.
Those two implements, just a drag. You just really want to get the minimum a drag. I use a drag myself. I drag it behind the four-wheeler. I do donuts, just going around and around and around. I'll cut it, drag it, and then seed it, and then cultipack it, and it works pretty good.
I'm trying to find this group I belong to, and it has actual deer management implements for sale. I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a ton out there in the market.
But there was a guy that he's making no-till drills for side-by-sides and ATVs.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to go that route, but I'm trying to find the Michigan Habitat and Deer Gear. That's the name of the group, and the gentleman had matter of fact, it's the third one down. It's a grain drill, and it says ready to go. 6 rows can be pulled with a quad and has small seed box on top, also fertilized box. Used for storage fresh food, blah 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 blah. 1950 is what he's asking for. He makes these. So
wow, that's
pretty cool.
That's an implement that once you buy it, it's a one and done thing, and you use it forever.
Right. Well, and the thing about that too is, if you're going to use a no-till, then you don't need a chisel plow, or you don't need a disc, unless if you're going to disc it and then go back and cultipack it and then plant. I mean, for whatever reason, if you got weeds and you're not using any chemicals,
right,
would be maybe a reason for that. But you just got to figure what do you want to use for those types of things. And hang on one second here, I got it.
And what you gonna plant? What you need to do to the soil? That's a big one. Is like Lincoln said. Besides the implements do you no good if you don't know what your soil is.
Right. And if you're not going to use a drill or a planter to plant, you're going to broadcast. You'll need a broadcaster. So those are some things to consider. Of what's your budget, and what type of planting are you going to do, and then start working down that direction as far as figuring out what you want to use.
Exactly, and you can do it on a shoestring budget of just a drag and a seeder, and go from there. Try and see but I would suggest the first thing you do is get a soil sample. Get a soil sample of each of your plots. Start making a plot map. That's what I did. So I knew what my soil was. It's due to have it again this year. So hopefully first time I go up, I'll pull my soil sample, send it in. So when I go back up, I'll know what to take, pick up, throw it out there. I'll probably need, see what my pH is. What
I hope to do, there's a person that we've been wanting to get on the show here for quite a while, and if we can lock down this interview and get this person on, I want to go down the road of, especially this year already, people are not being able to get out and travel and go up north like they want to and do things at their camp. So let's say once this burden is lifted off of us and we're able to get out and go, and it's later in the season, what's the most important thing we can do for our deer herd going into the fall, depending on the timing of when we're able to go? Like Danny said, it might be a water hole, might be a simple water hole. That might be the only thing we can do. But I want to start going and looking at that situation. Frost seeding's over with. We can't do that. These early spring plantings, depending on what time of the year and where you're at in the northern zones, working your way south, depending on who's listening to the show right now, of when you can plant. So, there's those issues right now that we're going to be bumping up against. The other thing is with these places that are shut down, are we going to be able to get seed to plant? you know, that might be something you might need to start thinking about. Am I going to plant this year? And what am I going to plant? And can I get seed?
You should be able to, because the Tractor Supply stores are open, and they carry seed.
That's true. That is true. And they do carry a lot of the deer forage, or varieties. You know, as far as putting out food plots, whether it be clover, brassicas, rye, wheat, whatever. So, yeah, I completely forgot about that. So you should be able to get rid of them.
You should be good. They carry a multitude over there at Tractor Supply, but that doesn't stop you also from ordering it online. So they don't have a problem online shipping. Right now, the shipping thing is a little convoluted as to what's getting shipped, what's not getting shipped. But anyways, you should be able to get it, but you can always start planning. If you're going to be out fishing, you can start, you're sitting at home right now, you can start thinking of fishing ideas. Maybe planning to go to a new lake, or how you're going to fish your lake that you go to nowadays. My brother said that he's dying to get out there fishing. Now, he might be thinking, what's he going to go fishing for? Is he going to do, to go do some fly fishing that he wants to do? I saw a guy fly fishing today, matter of fact.
Well, it's going to be really interesting. We've talked about the boating issue here in the state of Michigan, that we're not allowed to use motorboats. So this is the 12th of April. So in another, 2 weekends from now is the opener of trout season. What's going to happen for the opener of trout season? How's the DNR going to start policing that? Because at that time of year, there's a lot of people that start heading north that want to go. Are they going to close the trout opener? We haven't heard anything on that yet. I've not heard a plan for that. I think what's going to happen is they're going to be watching really close at how close people are fishing to each other.
Is that the last Saturday in April?
Yes, I think it opens at midnight on that Saturday, if memory serves me correctly. I could be wrong on that, but it's the last weekend of April.
So the 25th. So
25th, 26th.
2 weeks from yesterday. 2 weeks from yesterday, right?
There's a guy I work with, and he's nuts about trout fishing. He's not missed an opener since I've worked there for 30 years. He's never missed an opener. And this week I said, "Are you going up?" And he's like, "No, we're canceling this year. We're just not going to do it." So
wow,
they're not.
There you go, Jim Miller he ordered their seed from the NWTF. We all know Jim. For us, he's the president of the local chapter here.
Yeah, the Flint
he's
River
having
chapter.
issues getting corn from the NWTF. It was supposed to be in 2 weeks ago.
So are they not shipping it? Ron Moses, we just need you to go get some seed for us. How about that?
Actually, he did a good job of going to get coffee.
Yeah, he got coffee. Now we need some seed, man. Go get some seed so we can plant some food plots. We'll have to just share it, I guess. Can't sell it, but maybe we can share it.
Right, exactly.
What about the barter system? Can you barter? I don't know.
Right.
Let's go back to the old way of doing things. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. So, thinking about 2020 deer season, it started now. I'm hoping for a good spring, good fawning season. It's going to be an exciting October and November, and we'll see how the moons play out this year, that's for sure.
Well, right now, I know we are up in our area, up in Alcona County. We had a mild winter compared to winters of the past. Deer made it through just fine. Deer look healthy. Deer have already moved back into our food plots at our place from last year. We're getting green up already. And I'm looking for good things up there this year. I'm still going to Indiana, though. Good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise and COVID leaves us. That's the plan. I'm going to still hunt both places. So, but I tell you what, we're another long break here. We need to take our last break. We come back, we'll carry on the last segment. So we'll be right back after this.
Last segment of the show, people. Got any questions? Got any comments? Throw it at us, because
great discussion
we've been
tonight.
Just about everywhere.
Yeah, we have.
From turkey season to deer season, fishing, trout opener.
Well, like I said, I never ever thought we'd be talking about this kind of stuff on the show. I never in my life would have dreamed that we'd be talking about this stuff. It's kind of crazy. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We got a lot of people on tonight, dropping comments along the way. For those of you on the podcast, if you've not watched the live shows, you need to go over to Facebook, our Up North Journal Facebook page. Every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we go live, and we have a great chat room going on tonight. A lot of people are chiming in and get some great comments. That just goes to show, for any of our legislators out there that might come across this feed, I know there's one up north that we talk to a little bit every now and then. The people of this state care deeply about the outdoors. It's not just, and I've heard some people say, well, hunting and fishing, that's not a necessity, that's not an essential, it's just a hobby, no, it's not. We build our lives around this just as much as other people build their lives around whatever it is they extremely enjoy, whether it's, you know, sports, whether it's family vacations, going to the beach, or whatever. We live, breathe, drink, and eat the outdoors every single day of the year. You know, it's ingrained in us. We were brought up in it. We're passionate about it, and we take it very seriously. So,
right. Oh, Nate Freely's asking. All right. Would you rather shoot a single pin, a 3-pin, or a float with a float, or a 5-pin?
Great question. I actually saw Bobby Vargas from PSE Archery ask this pretty much the same question this week about pin placement and setup of what everybody likes to do. It was a great question that he put out, and I think that was over on the, I don't know if it's his personal page or over on the, I think it's on the PSE page. And Danny, go ahead. You read the question. I'll let you go first.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I've been shooting. The name escapes me of the site, but it's a
Black Mountain.
Fixed.
Is it Black Mountain?
Exact. Black Mountain. Thank you. It's a fixed 3-pin with a float. It's an adjustable. So for 20, 30, and 40, I'm all right. But what's nice about some of these 5 pins that have the adjustability is you can shoot as many as you want. Maybe you only want to shoot 2 pins, maybe a 20, 40, and adjust after that. You can pull those pins. So if you get a 5-pin sight, you can always take pins out. That's the thing. You always can't buy a 3-pin sight and, oh, well, I want to add. But, or do you want to do the single pin? Single pin, you have it ranged out to whatever you feel comfortable, and then maybe go after that. But I do like the Black Mountain sight that I have, where I've got some fixed, but then after a certain distance, I'm adjustable, and I go from there. What about you, Mike?
I'm kind of in the middle of deciding. I've shot a lot of different sight systems, and I guess it depends if it's target or if it's hunter setup. My hunter setup right now, I'm shooting a 5-pin fixed, which I really like. And I really think what it boils down to on a hunting setup, Danny, is how fast is your bow? You know, what kind of speeds are you shooting? You know, can you shoot a 20-yard, 30-yard pin? You know what I'm saying? Put one pin at 30 or 20, maybe put it 25 yards, and still shoot that 20 to 30-yard range. You know, with very little difference in accuracy. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you're shooting a slower bow or maybe a heavier arrow, maybe you do need those 5 pins to shoot 20, 30, 40, 50 in a 60 if you're going to shoot that far. And that's kind of where I'm at. You know, last year I used the Evolve 31. I was shooting a 250 spined Maxima Red, I think is what I was using last year. No. Well, that Maxima Red, we were shooting the SDs last year.
Yeah, we were shooting the SDs last year.
Yeah, and at that distance, I still...
That's the other part.
Yeah, I shoot, you know, a 20, a 30, a 40, a 50, and then a 60. And if you're shooting 3D archery, you know, that can play a big difference as well. You know, can you set those to where you can actually see between the pins and pin gap it? You know, are you using a 0.19 pin sight, a pin, or a 0.29? I think those play a lot. How big is the dot that you're using for your aiming point? You know, can you see between them and pin gap for those in between distances?
Yep, exactly. That's another thing. You know, he asked us about the sight, but it also gets into your arrows, because a good friend of ours, Denny Steiner, he actually, when he went to Africa, he took one bow, but he took 2 sights and 2 sets of arrows.
Mm-hmm.
For one setup, he used one sight and the heavier arrows, and instead of changing everything over, he just switched his sight to the other set of arrows, which was a lighter set for a different animal,
Mm-hmm.
and he was right on, right where he was at. So that's how he did it. If you get into that, you might want to check into what kind of arrows are you shooting.
Right.
You need to shoot a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter. Shooting the lighter ones, maybe you can get that 20, 30-yard pin to 1.
Yeah, and obviously too, I think it boils down to what's your effective range. If your effective range and you don't want to shoot over 40 yards, or maybe you don't want to shoot over 30 yards at an animal, with your the ability that you feel comfortable at shooting. So at that point, I would, you don't need 5 pins unless you're just practicing at those distances.
Exactly. Well, okay, so there you go. There you go. My brother asked, for our hunter setup, what is your furthest distance? Easy answer. What do you practice at?
What do I practice at?
Yeah, exactly. It's what you feel comfortable practicing at, right, Mike?
Exactly. For me personally, I shoot 80, 90, 100 yards. Not with my hunting setup, but with my target bow. I've shot 80 yards with my hunting setup, and the only reason I won't shoot further is because of my sight picture. And at that point, I'm just at 80 yards. I'm freewheeling at that point because I don't have anything to really lock down on the bullseye at that distance. I mean, I am completely, my window. I'm using my bubble. Actually, no, I take that back at 70 yards because I'm using the top of my bubble to aim with at 70 yards. And there's no way I would do that on a game animal.
Because you you don't have the slider on your bow.
Not on my hunting rig. No.
Nope. I got the slider on mine. If I really went to it, my range here in the backyard, I can go to 90 yards if I really wanted to reach out and touch.
Mm-hmm.
But would I feel comfortable in that? If I practice it enough, I probably could feel comfortable. Yeah. But lo and behold, what do you feel comfortable practicing at? That's your distance.
Exactly. So, yeah, your effective range is your effective range. It might be 20 yards. It might be 100 yards. We know people that hunt animals at 100 yards with a bow, and it's because they're deadly with them. They practice, and they're set up. They're confident when they take that shot, and it's not being cocky. It's not being arrogant about it. It's because they can do it. It's just like a guy who's a sniper. They can shoot out to a mile with a rifle. I can't do that because I haven't practiced that. Those guys are disciplined in that, and if you discipline yourself, your effective range is whatever you're confident at shooting at that distance.
And that goes back into turkey hunting too, using a gun.
Mm-hmm.
The gun, whatever you feel comfortable, whatever you sight it in, and whatever you're shooting. What does your gun like to shoot? Are you shooting a full choke, modified? What kind of choke you shoot? What kind of loads you putting through that thing? There's guys out there that feel very comfortable taking a turkey at 60, 70, 80 yards with these loads. 3.5 inch. Talking to Tim Cius, our turkey guy expert down in Virginia's. He'll tell you it's what you practice, what kind of shot. So same thing. There you go.
Okay, we got a question here from Nate. He says, "What is your thoughts on shooting a heavy FOC arrow forward to center?" You're starting to get into the science part of it that I don't know enough about to answer. We do know people that have all of the technical information in their head that can answer those questions, and then maybe that's something, Danny, that you and I can actually get some answers on, or maybe we could even get that person back on the show and talk a little about some of that.
We'll just have them on the show.
Yeah.
It's easy.
And then talk about arrow setups going into the season and getting into the technical side of it. Once he starts explaining things to me, yeah, I understand it, but to get into the really nitty-gritty of it and understanding why things do what they do when you start manipulating those types of things, I understand it's more about dragging the arrow through the air versus being pushed through the air, things of that nature. So, but there's also, for everything that you gain one way, there's also a give somewhere else, is what I've kind of learned. So, is what are you willing to give up to get something else in return?
Are you shooting, you're shooting out 60, 70, 80. Also look at what type of broadhead you're shooting. Are you shooting a fixed? Are you shooting a mechanical? Right. That plays into it as well.
And what type of game you're shooting with that?
Exactly.
What kind of hide are you trying to punch through? So,
Yep, it all comes down to you're comfortable at your distance that you practice at for your kill.
You know, it's really easy to punch paper at 100 yards with a field point.
Absolutely.
Don't have any problem sticking the paper. Now, sticking the paper in the right exact spot for the bullseye at that distance, that's the issue. It's not about the penetration. It's more about the accuracy at that point for me. But yeah, it's all good.
I hear you.
It's all fun stuff.
So, yeah. And now's a good time to start getting out there with actually, right now is a good time to get outside and shoot through the woods because there isn't any leaves out there here in Michigan.
Right.
And you can shoot. I know once I get green up, shooting through the woods gets a little tough.
Yeah, it's fortunately for me, I've already mowed my archery range for the first time this year, and I can shoot right at 100 yards, and I love shooting long distance. It's just it's something to challenge yourself with if you've got that opportunity. You know, if you've got a range and distance isn't the issue, it's more about accuracy. You know, maybe you're effective to 40. Well, you know what? Start shooting at 50. You know, and see what happens. And then when you get confident that, back it up to 60. You just if you've got the ability, keep backing up and extending your effective range. And once you start doing that and you start getting accurate and putting groups in a wad at longer distances, it's a grin. I tell you what, it's so cool to be able to do that, and it's a big confidence booster. So when you make that 40-yard shot, it feels like, you know, in golf terms, you're sitting right on the edge of the cup and you're just tapping it and it's just going right in. You know, it just boosts that confidence so much. So
you're right, and there's no doubt about it. At first, it's very nerve-wracking if you've never done it before. When you start saying, "Okay, I'm going to shoot 50, 60," but once you do it and you get that confidence, you're right, Mike. It's just like, yep, 60 yards. I know where I need to shoot. Put it there. And go after it, and don't be afraid to
lose a few arrows.
You're gonna lose a few. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. You know, I don't know how many arrows I've got behind the house here. You know, I thought one day, I said, you know, maybe I go back there with a rake and rake through the grass. I found most of them, but every now and then, I mean, at that distance, when you're at full draw and you flinch and you touch the trigger off on a flinch, you better watch where it goes because you're going to be going after it. It happens. And if people say it doesn't happen to them, then they're lying because it does.
Right.
Well, we're coming up towards the end of the show. Bill Fisher has to log off family stuff. Appreciate conversation. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So my brother's got a question.
Yep. Go ahead.
So my brother's got a question about coyotes. About when are they gonna have their pups. So it's really dependent on the coyote itself.
Mating season is February.
So with that,
what's typical gestation time on a canine? Do you know, Danny?
Is 60 days.
Okay.
So if you said February is prime time,
they ought to
60
be
days from there.
They ought to be
that's
dropping.
When they're going to be having them, and they're about 9 to 10 months old when they start to go into that old enough to have kids.
Okay.
So
there you
February,
go.
60 days. That puts them in April, May.
So that means that this year's pups will be breeding next winter, next February, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So yeah, they're going to be, and it falls right. I mean, isn't it strange how nature works? You know, they have their pups, and they den up, have their pups, and what happens right when right after they have their pups? We get fawning season. You know, it's strange how
nature. Gotta feed the family.
Yeah, how nature works. It works hand in hand with when certain times of food supply, things of that nature. So, and that's one reason that we try to hit them so hard when we can. You know, and Chris Kreiner can attest to this. I mean, he's the coyote guy that goes out and smacks them.
There's that. Going back and looking at the deer season for 2020. So you've got the coyotes having kids, bears coming out of hibernation. They're hungry. Bears are hungry. The coyotes got to feed their family. So it's like deer menu, you know, smorgasbord.
Your brother asked, do they reuse the dens? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would assume that they will use multiple den sites over and over again, is my guess. but I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. I'll have to ask some people who know that to get an answer on that. I know bears typically will use multiple den sites. That, you know, not from year to year they're using the same one. They have 3 or 4 or 5 that they typically use. Is what I've heard from people who know bears. So, good question.
It says here that coyotes only use the dens for the pups. After that, 8 to 10 weeks old, everybody leaves and goes sleeps in the woods. Okay,
well there you go. But did they use the same one to whelp their pups in, you know, year after year? That's a good question. Or do they dig a new den, have a new den site every year?
My guess is it probably depends on what's going around them.
Yeah, depending on if they're still in the area, because I know they are very, I wouldn't say nomadic, but they do travel in big wide circles. Not as much as a wolf does. A wolf really travels, has a big wide range, versus coyotes. I think coyotes more or less follow the food supply, you know. And once an area is hunted out, or if there's little food there, they're going to move on and try to find a new food source.
Yep,
is
exactly.
My thought. So
I would agree with that.
So, well, I tell you what, we've had a really long show tonight. We're running well past an hour right now. So I think on the podcast side, I want to wrap things up. But for those of you on the podcast, if you would, you know, feel free to share the link to the show, comment. Go over to, if you're catching this show on iTunes, go over to iTunes and give us a review over there if you would, please. That helps us out as well. You know, and come back over to YouTube on Wednesdays if you're on the podcast. That way you can actually see the show, or if you want, you can catch it on Facebook as well. Right after the show's done, it'll post and you can catch it on Facebook. But share it if you would, give us a like. It helps us out, and we continue to bring good content to you. So, Danny, who we got on next week? We're bringing on Rebel 6 Rubs?
Next week, we're going to have somebody from Rebel 6 Rubs that's going to give us the lowdown on how to use the Rebel 6 Rubs, maybe a few recipes as to how they've used it and which ones they did use.
Okay.
And so I think it's going to be a mouth-watering show next week.
Okay. Are we going to get a cooking demonstration at all?
I'm hoping to.
Okay. You know, I'll see what I can do. I might try to put something together here for myself. And I don't know about you, if you've got anything you can put together. Maybe we'll talk during the week and see if we can't put something together and share that as well.
Absolutely. I got some Rebel 6 Rubs here that I'll see what I can do. Maybe make a little fish dinner or something here for the show, and I'll be glad to eat it during the show.
All right. So for those of you on the podcast, there you go. Tune in next week, and hopefully we'll have some food, at least for us. I don't know about y'all. You'll have to get your own. But, yeah, tune in next week, and we'll be back again then. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next week. For those of you on the live stream, we'll hang out here for a few minutes, and Danny will do a nice soft shoe song and dance. You know, I felt we had a great show tonight, guys and gals. I really appreciate.
Thanks to everybody out there,
yeah,
chiming in and feedback, and we know this is
it's unusual times. It really is.
Oh, my brother saw a fair amount of dead coyotes in Ohio and southern Michigan.
Good.
Not enough.
Right. Good deal.
Right. Good. You know, this COVID thing's pretty serious, but I like and I'm not downplaying it, and I don't want to downplay it, but it's very, when they start taking liberties away on you, you get kind of anxious as to, okay, this time. Well, what happens next April?
Yeah. Well, how many times have we seen things being pushed on the gun side? You know, the old adage goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You know, death by 1,000 paper cuts. You know, there's so many different analogies used. It's like, well, okay, it's just this, or okay, it's just that. You know, oh, I don't mind this, or I don't mind that. You know, I can live with that. Well, pretty soon you're living with nothing. And it's like, doggone it, you know, those freedoms that people have died for those freedoms for us. They have given their blood and fought to make sure that we're able to have those freedoms, and we shouldn't be giving any of them up, you know. But on the same token, we need to be respectful, mindful enough to do what's right and to protect people. You know, I'm not discounting the fact that we need to all head up north and go fishing and, you know, say to heck with everything. I'm saying use common sense, people. Use common sense. And if you're going to debate this with people, I think the biggest thing is debate with facts, first of all. Don't debate with emotion, and don't talk down to people. Talk to them, and listen. Listen to what they've got to say. Because you know what? For the most part, people who think that we shouldn't be able to do certain things, they've got a reason just as much as we think we got a reason to do them. And there's got to be some ground in the middle where we can all meet together and do what's best for the common good.
Absolutely.
Without giving up our freedoms.
Yep, exactly. And that's, really that's where it's at. And so. Daniel
Burns asks, how does one get on the UNJ show? I'll tell you what, if you got something you want to talk about, get a hold of me or Danny. Shoot us a PM. It depends on what the topic's about and how relevant it is to the times and when we can get it scheduled. Because we're actually right now we are scheduled out a little ways. And next we didn't even know if we were even going to do a show tonight. Danny and I contemplated this all week long. Do we or don't we? And like I said, I do believe this is the first time we've ever done an Easter show.
It is.
The two things we never did a show on Easter Sunday. We never did a show on Mother's Day.
Or Christmas.
Or Christmas, yeah. We'll do one Christmas week. We'll usually pre-record them, but
right.
We usually there's certain things that we respect, and but this was extraordinary times, and I really think that we needed to do a show tonight and talk, because talking through some of this stuff really I think helps a lot of people. It puts things in perspective. Jim Miller says, working on a fall turkey workshop doesn't seem to be a lot of interest. Let's throw that out there. Jim, I forgot to even ask that. I told you I would. But what does everybody think about fall turkey season? Is that something, now that the spring season is half gone, pretty much. Unless you've got land to hunt nearby you. I haven't. Danny, have you seen anybody that's actually been out spring hunting yet in the state of Michigan?
No.
Okay.
Hunting?
Have you heard from anybody or seen pictures on Facebook?
No. Not hunting-wise. Fishing-wise, there was a couple of people out on the...
Turkey season actually opens...
Next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Or a week. This week...
That's why we haven't seen it. Okay, that's why we haven't seen it. See, I'm planning on the May hunt. I didn't even know it actually went. I knew it was somewhere here in the middle of April. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if people are actually going to go out. But if you're not able to, what about a spring workshop? Or not spring, a fall workshop.
He's talking a fall workshop.
Would you like to see a fall turkey workshop in the mid-Michigan area? If we could put one on. If Jim can, I know he's already got somebody said that they would do it. But they're trying to look at the time and trying to figure out, the logistics of making it happen, and if there'd be big enough interest in making it happen. Actually, to tell you the truth, Jim, I personally would be interested in listening to somebody talk about how to hunt turkeys in the fall, because the dynamics are different. I've seen turkeys in the fall, but I've never actively hunted them in the fall because of where I hunt. There is no fall turkey season up in the northeastern Lower Peninsula. So, it'd be something that I would like to hear about personally.
Yep. So there you go. If we have a fall turkey show, you got to come to it. How's that?
There you go.
Luke Sitton joined us.
Hey, Luke, what's going on? Glad you could tune in. We're right here towards the end of the show. You have to go back and watch. Sorry, but we're just kind of wrapping things up. While you're on, though, Luke, if you're still there, we want to talk a little bit here in the upcoming future about if this thing carries on for a while and people aren't able to get up to their places and do some habitat work or food plots or whatever, we want to start thinking along the lines of what do we do going right into archery season or firearm deer season if we're not able. What's the one single thing that's easy to do towards the last month or so leading into season that we can do to benefit us and the habitat and the deer herd the most? So maybe something along those lines is what we're thinking. So,
Jim Miller says it opens Saturday.
Oh, that's right. Remember, it used to open on a Monday, but they said they made it a Saturday this year. They changed the dates on some things, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. As far as, like I said, the travel issue, I think, is the biggest thing for people.
Absolutely.
What can they do and can't they do? But
yep, exactly.
That's going to do it for us this week, folks. Before we go, like we tell everybody in the podcast, if you guys would give us a like, give us a share, that helps us out as well. And go over and like our page as well. And it helps to further what we're doing here. And the one person I'm trying to remember, Daniel Burns, don't forget, shoot Danny or me a PM and give us a topic that you'd like to talk about and what you're thinking, so to see if it's something we can kind of get scheduled. So other than that, we're going to wrap up the show this week. We'll be back again next week. We're going to be talking Rebel 6 rubs. It's getting that time of year. It's time to bust those grills out, and I do want to see that new grill that Rob's got. So Danny,
I know, right?
Get a picture.
Me too.
All right, y'all take care, and we'll be back again next week.